All right, Mr. Yalamachilli, you may call your next witness.
State calls Brian Grove.
Could you get Brian Grove, please?
Sir, if you would, please raise your right hand and take an oath. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you'll give to the court today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
If you could, please have a seat and state and spell your name for the record.
Brian Grove, Grove.
And Mr. Grove, where are you currently employed?
I'm a fire protection engineer with the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives, ATF.
And how long have you been working for the ATF?
About 26 years.
All right. And if you give me just a moment, my computer's not exactly cooperating with me. And if you could, please describe your work experience with the ATF.
I'm a fire protection engineer, so my job is to help ATF certified fire investigators with the science part of their investigations.
What's the, well, you already talked about the role of a fire protection engineer at ATF. What is the field of fire dynamics?
So fire dynamics is the science of fire, kind of the physics of fire, how fires start, how they spread, how buildings interact with fire, how people interact with fire, anything really dealing with the physics or the science of fire.
And how does your expertise assist fire investigators?
So fire investigators are asked to figure out where a fire started, and then if they can do that, how a fire started. So we get involved with those processes, as well as timeline and some other things.
And so if we could, starting with your undergraduate degree, do you mind going through your educational background?
Sure. I have an undergrad degree, Bachelor's of Science in Fire Protection Engineering from the University of Maryland, as well as a Master of Science, also in the same field from the University of Maryland.
And besides those degrees, do you have any licenses or certifications?
I do.
And what are those?
I'm a registered professional engineer in the state of California.
And what's required to obtain that designation as a registered professional engineer?
So typically you need a 4-year degree from an accredited university, as well as 2 years of work experience under another registered professional engineer. And then you also have to sit for an 8-hour exam that all engineers would take, and then another 8-hour exam that's specific to your discipline.
Have you ever been a part of any kind of presentations or written any publications?
Yes.
Okay. And approximately how many presentations and publications have you been a part of?
Publications, probably about 10. Presentations, hundreds.
Have you done any teaching in the field?
Yes.
All right. And what topics have you taught on, and approximately how many times have you taught?
So we teach state and local fire investigators, as well as our fire investigators. Those are generally who we teach. Also attorneys sometimes, just on the sort of the science of fire.
And how many cases approximately have you worked involving fire dynamics?
I've been with ATF for about 26 years, say 20 cases a year, so over 500.
And have you previously testified as an expert witness?
I have.
And in what field have you been qualified as an expert previously?
As a fire protection engineer.
And approximately how many times have you testified as an expert as a fire protection engineer?
Over 20.
Okay. Judge, at this point, I don't know if Mr. Cruz would like to voir dire the witness at all.
All right, Mr. Cruz, if you'd like to, you may go ahead.
No questions.
All right, thank you. Mr. Yalamachilli, go ahead.
Judge, I would move to admit Mr. Grove as an expert in fire protection engineering.
Mr. Cruz, any objection?
No, ma'am.
All right, thank you. This witness is an expert in the area of fire protection engineering.
And, Your Honor, would you like me to continue, or?
We have 15 minutes. I'm going to ask you to actually continue. I think it's, we talked about stopping now, but it's only 4:45, so we have 15 minutes.
Okay,
Thank you,
and
sir.
I have
Thank
some
you.
more questions
All
before
right.
we reach that point.
Yes, sir.
How did you get involved in this case?
Special Agent Will Perdue reached out to me and told me about the case.
All right. And what was requested of you when you were contacted about the case?
He gave me a brief overview of his knowledge of the case, sent me some photos of the scene, a couple of reports, a diagram, and then we talked about ways that maybe we could help with the timeline of the fire, as well as there was an issue of some burn material around the stove and whether or not it'd be possible to ignite textile materials on a stove.
Okay. What is the fire triangle?
So the fire triangle is a way for fire investigators or scientists to organize their thoughts in terms of what do you need to have a flame or fire. And there's three things, three legs of a triangle. One would be fuel in its vapor or gas phase. So this would be solid, but we're talking about like a gas phase. Another would be an oxidizer, which is typically oxygen and air. So we need air to have fire. And then lastly would be heat. Initially that heat might come from a lighter, and then at some point a fire supplies its own heat and you have a self-sustaining reaction.
Okay. What is a fuel-limited fire?
So a fuel-limited fire would be a fire that's limited only by the amount of fuel that can be vaporized. So if you think of a campfire outside, that's a fuel-limited fire.
Okay. And what is a ventilation-limited fire?
So a ventilation-limited fire, at some point, if you take that campfire, let's say a couch, maybe you burn the couch outside, it's a fuel-limited fire. You bring that couch inside, and it gets large enough and it's burned for long enough time that it consumes the oxygen in the room, and then ventilation becomes the dominant factor in the size of the fire.
Well, and that kind of dovetails perfectly with my next question. What is a ventilation-limited fire?
So a ventilation-limited fire, the size of the fire is dictated by how much fresh air you can get to the fire. All fires start out fuel-limited in a room, and then at some point they typically transition, and they'll go out unless you open a door or a window fails or something like that to allow fresh air into the space.
Okay. And if you could, would you describe the term heat release rate?
So heat release rate is a term that we use.
I'm sorry, your objection is to foundation?
Yes, ma'am.
And can you elaborate on that objection?
Prior to his questions, the witness did not make any testimony about any term that he is.
All right, thank you. Any response, Mr. Yellowman-Chili?
I'm not sure exactly how to respond to that, Your Honor. I'm not sure that Mr. Grove could have just, without my having asked a question, started explaining these topics, but it's certainly a foundation based on his knowledge, training, and experience has been laid for him to describe these topics, since he's an expert that's taught extensively in the field of fire dynamics and engineering.
Okay, I'm going to overrule the objection. You may continue.
Okay. Could you please describe the term heat release rate?
Heat release rate is the power of a fire, the intensity of a fire. Really, we're looking at its size. So if you think of like a 60-watt light bulb or a 100-watt light bulb, that's the power of that light bulb. We're interested in the same units for fire, but rather than dealing in watts, we're dealing in thousands of watts, kilowatts, or megawatts, millions of watts.
Okay. Is part of your preparation for testimony after your work on this case, did you create a PowerPoint in order to facilitate a discussion of the
Overruled. You may continue.
Did you create a PowerPoint in order to facilitate your testimony as a demonstrative aid?
I did.
Okay. All right.
Your Honor, before admission of the PowerPoint, can I have opportunity to review same?
Yes.
Or publication, forgive me, before it's
Okay.
published to the jury.
Well, can I see both counsel dimension real quick? Thank you.